There we go. We are. Well, okay, we're going to do the second countdown for those that weren't there for the first countdown. We are live, talking crit. I am Eric Tenkar, my partner in crime, Bad Mike.
Hello. The newly completely vaccinated Bad Mike.
Yes, he's got
COVID-free.
He went round two. Well, actually, technically, you're not COVID-free.
No, not yet. Yeah, 2 more weeks.
And well, you need like 10 days after your second shot. Although, like I said, my cardiologist said basically 10 days after your first shot, you're really out of the woods. It might not be like you might still have some bear cubs of COVID that are after you, but for the most part, he goes,
I had my shot 2 hours ago, so I've had dinner and I'm drinking whiskey right now. So we will see if I have any effects in the 2 hours after the shot. Hopefully, I will be okay at least till tomorrow morning. When my arms actually, she kind of hit me a little. The first one, no problem. I didn't even notice it went in. This one got me a little bit. I'm thinking my arm's gonna hurt this time. But your chance.
Yes, you're right.
Your chance is 0.001%. I looked up the percentages. I mean, you can get it, but there's been like 200 people. Literally, 200 people have got it out of however many million, 20 million people, whatever million people have got the shot. Right. So you can get it just like you can still get the flu, but the odds are even better. The flu shot's on like 50%. Effective, sometimes not even that. Depends on what flu strains they put in there, but sometimes there's been years lately when it's been only like 20% effective. So this is pretty darn effective. If you have a 99.99% chance of not getting it, and if you do, you won't die. At least nobody has died yet that's caught COVID of the 200 something people. So I'm liking my odds because you know what? I don't win the lottery, so I mean, yes, my luck would be I would get COVID and not win the lottery, of course. But
we call that the unlucky lottery in my former profession. It was always like, hey, did you see somebody won the unlucky lottery? It's like, oh, what happened? Yeah, it's like, oh, the only person I know that totally sober can drive the wrong way on a highway for 2 miles and then decide to get off, realize they're going the wrong way, get off the highway, and as they're getting off, spin, flip, get out of control, and kill themselves. In other words,
there you go.
You did the impossible, and at the very end, it's still it still got you.
Well, you were a cop, and so the stats on cops like firing their weapons when they're a cop. I mean, it's like there's cops that 20. I mean, you never fired your weapon.
I fired my weapon at the range. Now that being said, I can tell you the number of times I nearly shot someone. And the closest I came was literally on a rooftop at night chasing it was late 90s, so in the South Bronx. So here's a surprise for everybody. They were trespassing to buy crack. Not a surprise, right? And we go into these buildings on Moneta Street in our old precinct. And whereas 3 people just go, oh, fuck, we're caught, and we're high because we smoked it immediately. We're not going anywhere. You got us. One guy decides to run to the roof. And I was in much better shape back then. So I was able to run the 6 flights up the stairs.
Mm-hmm. Oh, geez.
He had a lead. He got up there. I get up there. My second time, by the way, was a dangerous chasing somebody to the roof at night. So I learned from my prior time. It's like, all right, wait, but you go out, you're lit from behind, so you're a silhouette target. Nobody wants that shit. And I wait till I hear voices behind me, my fellow cops. I'm like, all right, now I'm going to go out on the roof. And what do I see? I see something like right out of a movie. I never knew what a combat stance was until I started watching like all these cop and cop movies and TV shows. And it's like, oh, he's crouching with his body bladed and his arms out. It's a combat stance. You're doing that to be a small target. I see this on the roof as I stepped out, and something's in his hands, and I go, oh, shit. I have my firearm out, and I pointed, and I'm pulling that trigger. Inside knowledge blocks have all this free trigger space as you pull them. They're poorly designed that way. And I took up all the slack, and I started getting pressure on that trigger. And just as I'm about to pull, I hear, and I'm trying to get the accent right. So don't tell me.
I won't get you.
Don't shoot. I'm taking a shit. And what? And my lieutenant is like right behind me because he saw what was going on. He's like, did he just say he's taking a shit? He goes, yo, my man, what are you doing? I taking a shit. A shit. He goes, he's taking a shit? I go, yeah. I go, all right, I'll cover you. And I get up there, and yes, he's squatting with his pants up, by the way. So if he was taking a shit, and he has his in his hand rolled up out like a weapon, like he's in the dark, was his release papers from Rikers Island. And
day, right? About an hour earlier or something.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm out of prison, time to get my crack. So, and my lieutenant.
So he probably just wanted to take a dump because he thought he was going to be in the squad car and for next couple hours or be processed. Let's get the shit out of the way now, and then I can get processed.
Yeah. So, the great part of it was he had no narcotics on him at that point because I guess he tossed it while running up the stairs. I don't know. But he was trespassing. But my lieutenant was like, well, he goes, we have at least 4 witnesses. I go, witnesses to what? Trespassing? He goes, no. Public defecation. Based upon his statement that he was taking a shit, he goes, I want him to go through the system for that because it's just going to be so much better when he has to go to lodging and explain that he's in prison for taking a shit on a roof. I was like, okay.
Did he realize how close he came to dying that night? Did you explain to him that was probably not a good idea? I
did explain to him. I cuffed him up and brought him back to our van and down the stairs. I go, you do realize that the similarity between you and a Christmas tree at this point is the fact that you are not lit up, but it came damn close to being lit up. Okay. Never mind. It was that conversation.
But see, you almost won the bad. That was the bad lottery. You would have won the bad lottery. He would have really won the bad lottery. But you would have too, because you would have shot some poor guy taking a dump.
Right? Can you imagine the headlines? Now this 20 years. Yes, David. New York City made us have a 12-pound trigger. I got to find a gunsmith to fix that on my retiree weapons, which I can do. But yes. I could have. Different time. Listen, if that happened now, God knows I would have been hung by my petticoats. But how do you explain? Can you just imagine the papers? Homeless man shot while taking a shit on Bronx rooftop. News at 11.
Yeah. That's all you needed was
No, so but with the grace of God.
Don't win that.
That was close. So yeah.
Bringing us to COVID, I am not looking forward to winning the bad lottery. I've actually had pretty good luck in my life, so I have a feeling in 2 weeks I will be doing all right. And I'm probably, this may be controversial, friends, but I'm probably not going to wear my mask very much once I get my vaccination done because I trust science and I think if I have it and my chance of not getting it's 99.99%, I'm going to go with that. So if you see me in North Texas, I may or may not have a mask on. I don't know.
Come on. Here's the thing. You're talking science, but we are in the and don't take this the wrong way, but we are in the world where you have science and then you have science. And if you talk about science, I can go online and see 2 different medical doctors that both specialize in infectious diseases, and one is going to say, well, once you've had your immunity, once you're full with your vaccine, you should not need to wear a mask because you are protected. And you can see the other ones going, doesn't matter if you have 9 shots for immunization.
Double mask.
Yeah, double mask. And do I understand why the masking for people that are immunized? Yes, because the population is going, who's this asshole without a mask? I don't know that they've got their vaccination passport, which, whatever. I'm fully immunized. I wear, and again, folks, I wear a neck gaiter. Why do I wear a neck gaiter? because I mask up when I'm passing somebody in the street, but
I do the same thing.
I
I
wear
will wear it.
glasses. I fog
Yeah.
up anyway.
If the sign says wear a mask, I'll wear a mask. But if it says optional, in 2 weeks,
I'm
optional
opting
is
out.
gonna be not, because
Yeah.
I did my year and I did my shots, and so I'm looking. I think I'm looking good, and I think the North Texas is looking good. We have we actually so segueing in this conversation, we talked a little bit about this
Yes.
North Texas RPG Con. We had our official word from our hotel, and this is not just North Texas. This is all conventions this year, maybe even next year. They told Doug, and let me see if I can find the official press release here. Actually, it was up on the Facebook page, wasn't it?
Yes,
Or
it was.
the official release from the
I had it up.
hotel.
I had it up earlier.
I know, and I
I
was looking
found
at it
it.
too.
I found it very interesting because it's not just what is said,
Oh, here it
but
is.
it's what isn't said. So listen to
Right. So this is from a hotel. We're having a convention this year. This is from the hotel. And this is in Texas. So your state may vary, but this is what we were told. Hi, Doug. We do require masks in public space, but have no way of enforcing the rule because Texas is 100% open. Thank you, Director of Sales and Marketing, blah, blah. So I think this is interesting, because what's going to happen here is whatever so let's say you go to convention, whatever the convention wants, whatever the city wants, whatever the county wants, it doesn't matter. It matters what the state says. And so we can't, this is where we had a lot of people say, well, I can't come to a convention unless you guarantee everybody's going to wear a mask, or I'm not going to come to the convention if I have to wear a mask. What it boils down to is, what does the state require? If the state says you don't have to wear a mask, they can say, we would like you to wear a mask. We can say we would like you to wear a mask. The county can say we'd like you to wear a mask. If the state says no mask mandate, they cannot enforce it, which means that I don't even think if you want to look at liability concerns, I don't think you can even walk up and tell somebody to put a mask on. You could just basically smile and wave, and you just kind of hope that everybody, that if you would hope that somebody hasn't had their shots yet would wear a mask, or would wear a mask for the benefit of people who don't have to wear shots. But there's no way of enforcing it. And we've told Doug and I've been telling people this for months, because we've talked to various legal minds over the past couple months, and apparently. Liability concerns are one of the reasons you cannot ask people to wear a mask. And so here's the convoluted reasoning. And this is because we're a litigious society. If we tell everybody that you have to wear a mask to the con, if we say you cannot come unless you wear a mask, if somebody gets in and doesn't wear a mask and somebody at the con gets sick, Doug and I are liable, because we guaranteed that we would tell people to wear a mask, because apparently it's kind of like if you were walking down the street and you see a dog, and you pick that dog up and you walk another block, and the cop walks up to you and he says, "Hey, is that your dog?" You say, "No, I just found him in the street." No, guess what? It's your dog, because you're walking down the street with your dog. If the dog doesn't have an owner, this actually happened to me once. That is considered your dog now. The same thing with
Does your dog bite?
Yeah, I had that happen. I had that. No, that's your dog. That is your dog now. And because I found a dog, and the officer said, "Is that your dog?" "No, it's not my dog." "Well, yeah, yes, actually, legally, it is your dog now." Like, oh shit,
constructive possession, I believe.
And so it's the same kind of concept. If you tell people, "Yes, we're going to guarantee a safe environment by telling them to wear their mask," well, you can't guarantee that, because if somebody gets sick, you've just taken liability for it. And like I said, there's probably a lawyer that would argue the opposite and say, no, that's not true. But do you really want to get involved in legal machinations if somebody decides to sue? So we're just doing what the state's saying, which is basically which you say at the end of the show. Every one of our shows, use your common sense. We would like you to wear a mask. We cannot enforce it. There's no way we can enforce it. Apparently, there's no way even the hotel can enforce it. So I'm interested in seeing how other conventions are going to deal with this. I'm going to ReaperCon in August, September, and then of course Gamehole Con later on. And so it'll be interesting to see how now ReaperCon's also in Texas. So I would suspect they would have the same approach to the policy. If the state's wide open, they can only suggest you wear a mask. They can't demand it. Gamehole Con is going to be in Madison, Wisconsin. And it's actually, and also Alex has the convention at the convention center, which is owned by the city. I believe the city of the state. Probably, I think the city. So he might have totally different way of approaching this. I mean, I don't know what Wisconsin requires or that they may require masks. So everybody that comes to game hall may have to wear a mask, depending on Wisconsin state policy. It's going to be very interesting to see.
Yeah, it also depend on, again, we're talking the fall as opposed to late spring. So it's a whole different dynamic too. Maybe, God willing, we are past the COVID bump and it's just like, oh, okay, well, 80% are vaccinated, we have herd immunity, and we don't need masks. Who knows?
As of right now, 20% of Texans have had have at least one shot. 20% are fully vaccinated. Over 30% have had at least one shot. So I think we're kind of trending by the end of May, beginning of June, probably the convention. We're going to be close to 50%. I can't remember the number as we get vaccinated daily, but it's now we're into second shots, as many as first shots. So I think we're looking at least 50% by June. I would bet by the end of the year, like you said, Eric, I bet we're close to 80% in a lot of these states.
Yeah, and that's again, I've heard herd immunity numbers. They was like, well, we need anywhere from 60% vaccinated to 85% vaccinated, and the numbers have been far and wide. They really don't know, but obviously, higher is better. So, but I do find, again, I saw that update on the North Texas page, and I was like, I'll happily carry my chin. Well, it'll be my neck gaiter, not my chin diaper. But I mean, again, if I'm wearing glasses, I gotta pull that thing down so I can.
I'm the same way. I'll probably wear it if I run a game in a closed room. Now, CDC recommendations, not even just state Texas. CDC recommendations are that if you're gathered with a small group of people and in a closed setting, if everybody else has been vaccinated, then you are safe in not wearing a mask. Right. And so what I will probably do when I run my game is I will ask everybody there if they've been vaccinated or if they feel safe without masks. If even one person says, no, I need to wear a mask, then I'll probably wear a mask. I'd rather not DM with a mask personally.
No,
but I will if somebody decides. But yeah, if I'm in a room and everybody's been vaccinated, like I said, CDC recommendations are that you're fine. You're fine in a small group. And I think a group of, 10 people or less is probably probably the target size there.
Right. And it isn't also kind of like the CDC. It was like, for like the Easter holidays. Well, you can have one family unit that is not vaccinated if everybody else is vaccinated.
Which would make sense. Yeah, it makes sense.
So if at your table you have one person that isn't vaccinated or a couple that isn't, and it's like, listen, everybody else here shows their papers, whatever, I've been vaccinated. You shouldn't have to wear a mask. Let's be honest, a lot of this is going to be comfort level of the people that you are with, which is understandable. And
we're flying in the dark. Everybody's flying in the dark. I mean, as of April or as of March of last year, we've been totally flying in the dark for the past year because this has never happened before. We don't know. So conventions are going to be interesting because, and Eric and I have often talked about what effect this is going to have on really large conventions like Gen Con, Dragon Con, stuff.
Oh, God.
Like that. And it looks like these conventions are going on this year. San Diego Comic Con says they want to have a Comic Con. I haven't heard anything from Dragon Con yet. Gen Con has said they're going to have a Gen Con. So these big conventions are planning on coming back. This is going to be interesting to see how they're going to handle it because you're never going to make everybody happy, right? I mean, there's always going to be somebody, we had a few people already post on the North Texas page that, I thought you guys are going to require masks. I may not come yet. And I, understand perfectly, but I just want to let people know we can't just make that decision. Doug and I can strongly suggest you wear a mask if you're in public or whatever, but we can't. We don't speak for the state of Texas, and it's the same with any state. And there may be some states out there that say, no, you have to wear a mask when in a group of larger than 20 or 30. And those states, if they have conventions, I would suspect it's going to be much easier to just tell people to wear masks because you're going to say, well, the state backs us up.
Right. If the state doesn't back you, then really, like I said, you don't want to leave yourself open to litigation, and we are very litigious society,
right? And it's not even that honestly, in the end, it's not that people go after Doug and I because we're small fry. They go after the hotel because hotels big pockets, and that's why the hotel is going on record saying we can't enforce anything. They're letting you know right off the bat that's their out. Is that we can't enforce it. So if you happen to catch COVID, sorry. I mean that's we can't. I mean look, when I went and got my second shot today, I mean there's a whole boilerplate you have to read and sign, and it basically says that this vaccine it's not approved by the FDA. It does not guarantee you're not going to catch COVID. It doesn't guarantee you're not going to die of COVID. So it's our best bet. I mean, it's 90 whatever percent sure that you're not going to catch it, but we can't guarantee anything. Nothing's guaranteed to you in this world. And especially not infectious disease stuff. So you sign that. So I wouldn't be surprised if hotels start having I mean, I think there's already a general kind of boilerplate when you get a hotel room. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe even conventions start having the boilerplate like, hey, well, we're not guaranteeing you a safe environment at this hotel. Just to let you know, you could catch COVID and or something else. So if you get sick or whatever at the hotel, you're just it's just going to happen. And if it happens, too bad. So I don't know why you would have to include that, but I can see that being a future. Something that people worry about in the future is that, hey, should we tell people? I mean, look how many conventions made you sign sexual harassment PDAs. I mean, that was a huge thing right before all this shut down. Was that hey, there's some conventions that went and said, hey, if you go to this convention, you're saying right now that you won't harass people. I mean, that they had harassment policies, and we have one in North Texas too. It's fairly general in that, if you're bothered, let us know. And if this, if this happens to you, let us know and we'll deal with it. But there's some that have very specific, I've seen 3-page explanations of sexual harassment policies for a hotel. I'm sorry, for our convention. Yeah.
It should come down to simply don't be a dick. If you're going to be a dick, you shouldn't be going to a convention. You can be a dick online. That's what most people do because they're anonymous on the other side of the fucking screen. But when you do it at a convention, why? People are paying for a good time. And don't be a dick policy and waiver. Yes, Bob. I think that we should all be able to sign it. Don't be a dick policy. Maybe we should have that at the tavern. Just just a general waiver. All new members must sign it. Don't be a dick policy.
But the problem always is right that the guy who's a dick doesn't think he's a dick.
Oh yeah,
I think that's the problem. Is that the guy that thinks that hey, it's okay if I go up and tell this girl that she looks really hot in that mini skirt. He doesn't think he's a dick. He just thinks that's But hey, you're at if you're at a convention and you see this girl that's looks good in a miniskirt, no, you're not allowed to go over there and say something to her. You're not. That's not your right as a congoer. But I guarantee there's people out there would think that. I don't understand why she got mad. I mean, I was telling her she looked hot. What does she think? What is she saying? I'm objectifying her for? That doesn't make any sense. Well, yes,
I thought she was hot. And I want to bang her. What's wrong with that?
I guarantee you there's guys out there. Guarantee
you. Listen, let's talk about the elephant in the room. There are some people that aren't going to go to conventions because it's the only time they get to socialize with the opposite sex.
Right.
And let's also talk about the other elephant in the room is that convention is a sausage factory. It's 95% males. That's changing a bit. Let's be honest. You're not going to pick up a woman at a convention because most of them are going somewhere they're attached to, and if they aren't, they're going to be the type that will kick your ass.
Yeah, it's usually their girlfriends and or wives, and secondly, you don't go to a convention to pick up a chick. You go to play games if that's what you're going there for, and you've got to get out of the basement more often. That is not the point of gaming conventions. So yeah, I mean, those people, there's people that are clueless, and as Bob said, there's always the guy that smells bad, doesn't know or doesn't care he smells bad, and there's always that guy there that every convention you go to, they're just like about day 3 you're like, whoa, hey, dude, deodorant, it's a thing now, and they don't get it, so yeah,
I
the
don't
don't be a
smell
dick,
me.
the don't be a dick policy is, yeah, I don't smell anything. I don't understand. But the don't be a dick policy it's too much to ask some people. And so, like I said, for North Texas, we just said that, look, we would like you to wear a mask. We would suggest it's especially if you haven't had the shot, or there's people at the convention that haven't had the shot. I know for a fact there will be people there that have not had the shot. And not only that, there will be children there, and children right now are not on the list of. I don't think any state has children on the list.
Right.
I think Texas is
16
still
as well as
16
it
or older.
goes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
16 and older. So children will not have the shots yet. So yeah, there's still a reason to wear a mask. But it's like I said, so like you always say, use your best judgment. I know some people's judgment sucks, but come on, man. I mean,
I have no common sense. I was born. That was my dump stat when God created me, was common sense. And I was like, no filter, no common sense. That's what I need. Need more. Great name, by the way. I gotta say, there's a difference between giving someone a compliment and going up to someone and saying you want to bang them. Harassment is repeated advances.
It depends on the comment, though, because I know people that are creepy enough that they could compliment a woman's hair and that would creep a woman out because they're just a creepy person, or they might say it in a creepy way. Pretty much in almost all cases, if you're not in an absolutely social environment, like you're not at a bar or a singles club or whatever, you probably should stay away. And I hate to say this, but you should just stay away from complimenting somebody unless you're absolutely sure that it's a squeaky clean compliment,
right. And also, you have that kind of relationship with that person.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a friend that you've known for years for the opposite sex. You can say something like that, and they're like, oh, they know it's not harassment because they know you. They know that you have your significant other. They have theirs. That's one thing. But when it comes off as part of a pickup line, and again, I know, not just having read the stuff online, but I've seen awkward pickup attempts at conventions.
Let me just say, I've seen this one. I've seen this one, Eric. Okay, let me give this to you. I've seen this happen at Gary Con, and my jaw dropped and it about hit the bar. It was this one. Did you hurt your head recently? No. Why? Well, because because when you you didn't hurt your head when you fell out of heaven.
Oh God!
And it was the angel? You're an angel. You fell from heaven. So I can't believe you. Did you hit your head? And I'm sitting there kind of listening, going, does she have a bandage on her head? I'm looking as because when you fell out of heaven, I thought you might have hurt your head, and I was like,
yeah. See,
I was like, no, that didn't just happen in front of me. That did not just happen in front of me. And by the way, the woman was not appreciative of because it was stupid. It's the stupidest, lamest thing you can say, but
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm not saying that hitting on somebody is a crime. No, it isn't. However, generally speaking, a convention a gaming convention is not the place to do it. Now, that being said, have I seen attempts at picking up in a hotel bar at of all places, North Texas? Yes. I'm not going to say who, but they were certainly talking about the position they had in the company and the fact of whatever degree that they had attained. And it was not convention goers that they were aiming this at. They were just trying to,
sure.
I
think there's a difference between if you're in the bar after,
yes.
Okay, the guy with the angel fell from heaven line, that was horrible. But at least God bless the guy who was in the bar late on the night. It wasn't at the gaming table because I've heard awkward picker lines happening at gaming tables, which is absolutely verboten. That should be like no. I know plenty of women gamers, and there's not one I know that would feel comfortable about fielding a pickup line at a gaming table. Not one single one. Sorry. It just, but maybe afterwards in the bar, a compliment or something may go. maybe go over okay, but not the gaming table, and not.
It's not the
It's
appropriate
situational.
venue.
It's just
No.
situational. Yeah, you got to pick your spots, but and it's true. People are awkward, and unfortunately, our gaming community has some really awkward people. I mean, we're at high risk for autism. Most gamers, because
Yeah.
also, we're at high risk for a lot of socially weird behaviors. You just you gotta pick your situations. You just gotta be better.
I like Bob's comment. I'm going to need some fire resistance because you're so hot. You know what? We should put together a game of or a book of gamers pickup lines because they would be about that quality. I mean,
Yeah.
yes, we think when we say it, it's like, wow, this is going to be great. This is going to be the line. If they're gamers, they're going to love this. If they're gamers, they're going to still think that, wow, what a dick. You know. My God.
Yeah, there was a meme going around with a bunch, what was it? Oh God.
All right, Bob. You got to stop, Bob.
I can't remember.
You have to stop. On a scale of 1 to 10, you're a natural 20. Woohoo! Wow, you must roll advantage.
Oh, that's nice. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was heard one once about something like, you just crit me or something about. I don't know. You roll the dice and crit it. I can't remember. It was stupid. They're goofy, but yeah. I mean, if you want a good laugh, those are good for laughs, and those aren't too threatening. But we at the tavern are not obviously not condoning this behavior. Just stay out. Just do yourself a favor. Just stay away. I mean, it's probably not going to work out for you. And the worst that can happen, you say, what's the worst can happen? Worst can happen is you get banned from the convention because the person you're hitting on can go talk to the convention organizers. And I know we have a policy at North Texas and we've had twice over the past few years, and somebody contacted us about, without naming, I think I can do this without naming names. We had let me see if I can couch it in a way that you wouldn't know who it was. We had somebody who was getting unwanted attention from somebody. And she came to Doug and I because this person would just basically not leave her alone at the con. And we had to have a talk to the person and say, this isn't appropriate behavior. And they apologized and said they did not realize that the other person was having such an issue with it. We said, yeah, but often, there's a lot of onus on females, especially not to make the man mad, so to speak, or not to, say something, mean to him, when women should just basically, they shouldn't care about your feelings. Go ahead and stomp on your feelings. But the woman just didn't feel like she could say anything to him without getting the wrong idea. And we had to approach the gentleman and say, look, your intentions are unwanted. And he apologized profusely, said he didn't realize that was the case. And to his credit, that was it. They left her alone after that. But we've had that happen twice where we've had similar situations where, somebody thinks that their behavior is totally innocent and they're not. And we had another person who was oh gosh, how can I couch this also? So they were
a personality known within the industry.
They were oh gosh, they were hanging around the person a lot, and the person was at a booth or table, and they were hanging out with the person and they wouldn't leave. Like after 2 hours, they're still hanging out there talking to the person. And it was very obvious that they were enamored with this person. And once we got the same thing, once again, they were saying, look, I don't mind this guy, but he's been hanging out at my table for 2 hours. And and basically I'm feeling uncomfortable at this point. And so we had to actually talk with that person also and say, you need to step around the convention a little bit. This person doesn't want you hanging out, at the table that they're sitting at for more than a couple hours. And once again, they were like, oh my God, I didn't realize, this, that, blah, blah. So,
right.
So how did this lead? How did we get into socially unacceptable behavior at convention? Oh, because we're talking about mask mandates.
Oh, so, well, if I'm wearing a mask, who's going to say no to me if I'm wearing a mask? You can't identify me because we all wear the same damn mask.
Yeah, I've heard those stories too, Derek, and that's luckily that's been in our past more than the present. But I had a really good gal pal that I used to go to comic book conventions, and this is in the 80s. And man, the stuff guys would say, just walk up and just say to her would just be cringe like, this is back, like, say, this is back in comic conventions. And she was attractive. They go up, she was a redhead too. So they go up and say, man, do you ever cosplay Marvel Girl or Jean Summers, whatever? Man, you'd be a great cosplay. I'd love to see you in a Marvel Girl costume. And just real inappropriate stuff for just somebody to walk up to somebody and say, especially when she was with me. I mean, they didn't know we weren't boyfriend and girlfriend, but she was just a buddy. Right. But yeah, there would just be some really awkward stuff where people just go up and just say things like that to her, and it was uncomfortable for her. It wasn't complimentary at all. It was very uncomfortable because she was just there, just like me, to look at comics and look at stuff. She wasn't there to be half-ass hit on by people. So yeah, there's that's, like I said, I don't see it very much. I know we had a couple of situations in North Texas. I remember, this is the great thing about North Texas too, is we're kind of a big family there. We had Steve Marsh's his younger daughter was playing in a game, or older or younger daughter, I can't remember which. One of them was in a game, and somebody at the table said something inappropriate to him. Tim Cass kicked them out of the game, and they left and he hammered them so bad they left the convention, and they've never been back because of what they said. I've
been tongue lashed by Tim being misidentified by Tim.
He policed his game really well. He policed his game very good. That person not only left the table, but left the convention, and to never return. It's been years now. They've never returned because it was, I understand it was inappropriate. It was absolutely inappropriate to say at a gaming table, from what I understand. So yeah. So, we're lucky that we have people that are willing to step up and, if they see stuff like that, because that's a more, what you're talking about, Derek, that's a more subtle deal with male gamers who won't respect. They talk over. I've seen that happen a lot. That's the kind of thing that a lot of guys don't realize they're doing, especially if they're not married or don't have a girlfriend. Right. They don't realize they're doing things like that. But it behooves them to pay attention to stuff like that, because that's, believe me, that's how you get a girlfriend or a wife, is you learn how to respect women and not talk over them and not belittle their decisions, and not treat them like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, you're a chick.
What did they? Yeah. Sorry, my New York Yiddish is coming out, because if you live in New York City, you've all picked up some Yiddish. It's just part of our vernacular. Need more cowbell is different than being complimented. If you're not taking no for an answer, you're stalking. That's harassment. If you don't have the right to be free from compliments, and that's fine. But you know what? There are compliments that you are trying to turn. Right. And if I say, "Hey, haven't seen you. Have you? Hey, looks like you lost." That's fine. It's like, wow, I haven't seen you in a while. Is not the same type of compliment.
I think that's an issue too, because that, once again, that goes back to being an idiot or not. I think there's compliments, and there's something you think is a compliment, and I mean, nice cleavage in that costume. You think that's a great compliment. I'm just complimenting her that she looks great in that No, that's not a good compliment. And
I look nice in my costume with my cleavage. I'm going to probably belch you, but it might be.
Your cleavage looks great though, Eric. You've lost some weight, so you're looking good. But I think that's once again. If you're not sure, I think in most cases it's probably best not to throw yourself out there, because you don't, what you think may as a compliment. And like I said, I've had people, they absolutely didn't know. They were not lying to me. They thought they were complimenting somebody. They really thought that was a compliment, and they could absolutely not understand why they were being, basically treated badly by people. I don't understand, because, I told her legs look great in that costume, but
great games, man.
She's 16 years old, or, there's something, like there's a reason that she didn't dig that, her dad was over here and he heard you say it, and that's not cool, but I was absolutely just commenting her. Well, I know you said you thought that. You thought you were complimenting her, and in your mind, it probably sounded less creepy than it was, I know being awkward isn't a crime. It's not an excuse for assault, but it's also it's not an excuse. Being awkward is absolutely not an excuse. The same way that the person doesn't know they smell bad. Look, I may not know I don't smell bad. That doesn't mean I shouldn't take a shower. I should still take a shower or use soap, even though I don't think I smell bad. Yeah, but you know, because I've had that guy that once again didn't think they didn't understand. They just didn't know that they smelled bad or that you know they had some issue going on. You know, a lot of time, you know, a lot of things. Bad breath is a big thing at conventions because people get excited and they don't think and they just forget to brush their teeth for 2 days. You know, and then just day 3, you're like, whoa, and they'll lean in real close and talk to you. You're like, dude, wow. You know, what did you have for dinner last night? That's rough.
It's like your eyes start watering. It's like, this isn't allergies, man. This is bad. and it sometimes it doesn't help that a lot of times you're eating out of like, you know, convention trucks, you know, the food trucks.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and listen, it's good food, but you know, if you're
drinking
tacos,
beer the next night. Yeah, you have beer at night. You have tacos during the day or beer at night. You wake up in the morning, you forget to brush. I've had this person shop at my booth, and you're like, oh, yay. And you wonder, should I say something? You know, or you know, most of the time you don't say anything because you're just thinking they must know their breath stinks, but they don't. You know, so that's why I would be careful of the compliments because what one person thinks the compliment, and you may be absolutely correct that there's a compliment. I mean, it may be the most benign compliment ever. You know, hey, your hair looks great. That's benign. You know, or your shoe. I love your shoes. Whatever. Fine, no problem at all. But you may think that that's okay, and then the guy next to you thinks it's okay to say, you know, her boobs look great, and doesn't think there's anything wrong with it, and doesn't understand that why they're being escorted out of the convention because they've just complimented everybody's breasts. I don't understand what you're talking about. Those are a natural part of the human body. I mean, come on. You know, so you just
or complimenting them on their breath because as need more cowbell is like, oh my god, now you can't talk to anyone without a breath mint. Listen,
I would recommend you have a
yeah. I think North Texas, you know what? Screw the hand sanitizer. Throw a couple of lifesaver mints in the bags for people. And listen, we're joking about it, but I remember going to Gen Con back in '92 or '93, with Gen Con 25. And the idea, you would read about it, you know, in college. Well, actually, not even much of an internet back then, probably not. But you would hear about like, the odorous of people who never bathed before. Like, oh, I'm going to tell you right now. By the time Sunday rolled around, it wasn't us. We were all showering every morning before we went to the con. You would sit at a fucking table, and the wretched reek of gamer funk. None of us wanted to have lunch because we were all ill to our stomach. And of course, I get the plane back. But it was like, oh my god, it was real. Now it's gotten. I'll be honest with you, it's gotten better. Now did it get better because gamers have gotten older?
I think it's become more. Well, I think people talk about it more. It was something that wasn't talked about, especially now that we have social media. I think people talk about gamer funk more, and it's become more of a thing. I think maybe when I first started going to conventions in the 80s and 90s, it just wasn't talked about. Or you whisper about like, oh man, gamer funk, but it wasn't really, you know, a subject that people brought up. I think now that we have social media, people talk about it. Yes, I'm absolutely going to escort somebody out of convention not having a breath mint. That is, matter of fact, that is absolutely what we do at North Texas. If you do not have a breath mint, you won't just get escorted out. We will see we will make sure that you get handcuffed and thrown in the patio.
Here, I'm going to bring a whole bag of Viter Energy mints. Only will you have mints, and first breath, but you'll have caffeine and vitamin B for energy, because that's what I need. That's what I need at my conventions. I need to be wound up and bouncing off walls.
I've heard about this happening, and it actually worked. Is a gaming company, and not ours. I'm not going to throw PEX under the bus or anything. It's not him. A gaming company had one person at a booth who was not taking care of their hygiene. And by Sundays it would just be really bad in the booth. And the people who had to work with that person were like, this is unbearable. And they went to the boss of the booth. And so that person received an anonymous gift at the convention the second day in their hotel room. And it was a bag with deodorant, cologne, and toothpaste. And there was a generic note there that said, hey, just, you know, let you know this is an issue. And the person took it in good humor, and guess what? They started, and it was also, I think there was a note in there also, you need to change your shirt because, and I know this is me. I change my shirt 3 times a day every convention I go to, because I will sweat through a shirt in 2 or 3 hours. Where I absolutely go through my shirts like that. And so this person also was not changing their shirt, and so they had somebody they left a note saying, "Hey, it also would help if you changed your shirt." And when everybody saw them the next time, they used the deodorant, they had the cologne on, and they start changing their shirts, and nobody fessed up to being the one that put the package in there. But it worked, because they weren't sensitive about it. They're like, hey, I didn't know I had that issue.
Right, and I understand too. Listen, when I pack for a convention, I'm a minimalist when I try to pack. It's like, what can you do? And to be honest with you, some contact, the ones I know I'm going to shop, to wear and bring old socks and old underwear that I don't need to come back with me. Yes, so I can leave it behind, but I don't skimp on the number of underwear and socks I'm going to bring, because you don't want others to suffer just because you decided that, well, one pair of socks is all the man needs. I'll just air them out at night.
Bring a pair of socks every day and a pair of underwear. Really, that's I can't emphasize that enough. You're going to want to change your underwear and your socks every day. And look, honestly, and you may not be me, but you need to have 2 or 3 shirts a day. At least I do. You're perfect to start with that body odor, bad breath. But compliments over the line, yes, I'm going to agree with you. Yes, I'm perfectly comfortable telling people that. And also, if my daughter's at a convention, somebody walks up to her and says something inappropriate, yes, that's over the line. I mean, if you can't tell a difference, I don't know what to tell. I can't parse the difference. I can't parse the difference.
I'm going to come up to Mike here. I'm going to put it to visual. I'm going to smell Mike and go, Mike, you smell divine. I really like the smell and the look of your jib. And I don't expect that I'll be coming back to North Texas when I do that. I might goose him at the same time, but that's a personal thing between Mike and I, because we have that kind of.
There you go. Take that. I just passed gas too. So how about that?
You know what? So now it's 10 after dark.
I will say a little behind the curtain too. My goddaughter is a huge cosplayer, and her best friend, they're also huge cosplayers. They do costumes, and they do a lot of anime shows. And I know we're kind of joking around about the compliments, this and that. You wouldn't believe the disturbing things that get said to them. And we're talking about when they were younger, 16, and they're in their 20s now, and they get the even raunchier comments. They used to get stuff that was disturbing because they were 16. They get stuff now that is absolutely out of bounds. So I know we're just joking around here, but yes, it happens. And a lot of those guys, they get confronted, and they think they're complimenting the girl. They really think they look great in that costume, and they think they're complimenting them. Like I said, it's better to err on the side of hey, I'm not gonna. This may or may not go over well. You know what? I'm just gonna keep it to myself and not not spread it out there.
And let's be honest too. If I compliment Mike and go, I like that shirt you picked up, or hey, great haircut.
Thank you.
I need a new COVID haircut.
This is my Elmore shirt. That's a great shirt.
But if I go along and I go, hey, Liz, let's do it. You lost weight. You're looking good. Is that a compliment? Yeah.
I would think it would be.
It was,
but were you saying she was fat 2 months ago? Is that what your compliment really means?
And really. That can be interpreted as a line. And listen, Liz knows me. I know her. She knows.
Right.
It's not like I'm going to be picking up somebody, but I wouldn't say it because it is an appropriate compliment to make. And yes, you can have inappropriate compliments. They're not a crime. Okay, it can still make you look like a douchebag. All right, I hate to use the language. I prefer to call you a fucktard.
Just err on the side of, yes, a perfectly innocent compliment can be a perfectly innocent compliment, yes, but it's how it's interpreted, and I'm not going to pretend I'm going to interpret anything for Liz Stewart or my wife or my daughter or my goddaughter, because believe me, I have seen people say stuff and I looked at their face and I absolutely knew that they did not know what they were saying. They honestly thought it was a compliment. They honestly thought that was a good compliment, especially when my goddaughter is dressed up like a character. They honestly think, and yes, I've heard your cleavage looks great to my goddaughter when she was like 16 or 17. And they honestly, I looked at them, they were not being raunchy. They honestly thought that was a perfectly that was a perfectly good compliment to make.
Which is why there's no cosplay at North Texas. It cuts out about 90% of the awkward compliments.
There's cosplay. What about midnight on Saturday night? There might be a little cosplay there.
There might be, and I will certainly tell you, Mike, that your wedgie looks good, and that your there's junk did not. But
my horns look great. My cape looks wonderful. Yeah, my cape looks great.
Fine line,
and my brother may show up in a Speedo. I'm sure if awkward asset. I know my brother shows up in a Speedo sometimes, and he's probably be very happy if you comment him on his. And he often places a banana inside, so he's probably love to be complimented on the fruit inside of his Speedo. Other than that, though, Spandex Devil outfit. That guy's weird. Yeah, stay away from that guy.
Oh, yeah,
he's disturbing.
That's
disturbing. Yeah, he's not the kind of guy you really want to hang out with too much. Definitely don't buy him a beer or anything. That's not good. Yeah, if you see that guy walk the other way, that's. By the way, I only wish I had a spandex. I don't have spandex. I would love to have spandex. Oh, if somebody wants to make me a spandex devil outfit, I will wear a spandex devil outfit. I will definitely wear that. I don't have spandex, but
I don't know if we need that, but maybe we do. That's not. Now, actually, before I forget, 1 a.m. this coming morning, isn't that the cattle drive?
Yeah, let's spend a little bit on we'll spend a little time on North Texas here because I'm one half of the show, and I also along with Doug Ray co-host North Texas RPG Con. So you know what, we're going to use our bully pulpit here to pimp my con. But yes, so April 15th at 12:01 a.m. We have what's called open registration. Up till now, the seats that were available, you had to buy for $5. You were only able to buy half the seats available for any one game, so that way games won't sell out early. But April 15th is free ticket time, so every game will go up for sale. Whatever tickets are left for that game will go up April 15th. At 12:01 a.m. So if you really want to make sure you get your game, you might want to stay up late. It's kind of fun. We have a lot of people stay up late and get on the Discord and yak back and forth. So that's become kind of a tradition over the last few years. I have an updated guest list. Can I read our updated special guest list?
Read us the guest list,
Michael. We just had several additions because of people getting their COVID shots, and so some of these I didn't really even know about that until earlier this week. But our special guests include Bill Barsh, Jason Braun, Ben Burns, Chris, who said yes, Darlene, Alan Groh, Alan Hammock, John Hirschberger, Alex Kamer, Diesel LaForce, Steve Marsh, Steve Perrin, Merle Rasmussen, Dr. Scott Robinson, along with Dr. Dennis Astaire. They are the two that created Bunnies and Burrows. Liz Stewart, Mike Stewart, Paul Stormberg, Jeff Talanian, and Tom Wilson. That is an incredible lineup. That is quite the Devil's Row of lineup. And I understand that we're going to get a couple more names. I think Skeeter Green will also be on that list eventually. Matter of fact, he should have been on the list this week. I guess Doug has it updated. Supposedly Skeeter Green is going to be up there.
Skeeter's a special guest. He's special. I don't know if he's a special guest.
And then so I think there was another one I'm not going to mention because I had talked to Doug about it, and I can't remember if we said yes or not. But there should be at least. I think I'm pretty sure that Lloyd Metcalf is a special, and his daughter Raven. Now they still have to get to the con because Lloyd is actually driving to the con, which is insane. He lives in Maine. He will actually be driving the con, and then he's going to be podcasting all week as he makes his drive. And I believe Raven, if she can come, will also come. She's a very talented young artist. Much better than her father. Much better than her father. But so we have a few more special guests we may still add here. But I think that's a pretty loaded lineup, man.
For a convention that is the size of North Texas, and I've said this before, I'll say this again. North Texas is the place to go if you want to meet and greet with the special guests, not have to pay for special access. Like, I got to get a breakfast with the special guest so I can actually say 2 words to Steve Winter or whoever
Right.
I'm going to be saying special words to, you can literally bump into Merle Rasmussen in the halls
I
and have
left
a great
Steve.
conversation.
By the way, I left Steve Winter off that list, so Doug has not updated it because we just said yes to Steve Winter yesterday. So yes, we still have a little more updating to do, but yes, Steve Winter has also said yes just as of yesterday. He got his second shot and he's ready to roll. So speaking of Steve Winter, yes, he's also on that list too. Now I talked to Eric about this, and he said that we're good to go on this. What we're going to do for the month of May is we're going to have a North Texas RPG Con Appreciation Month, or whatever we want to call it.
Yeah.
And we're going to try to have a guest every week of the month of May. One of our special guests in North Texas. So that should be fun. I've got some guys lined up. I'm going to ask them. Now, there's certain people that we've already had recently, like we had Alan Hammock just a few weeks ago. Look, I don't want it to go to his head. I mean, I know he thinks he's big time, but if we had him as a guest for May also, it would just go to the guy's head. That old guy doesn't need any more, pressure like that. So, and Chris Clark's the same way. Chris Clark, we just had him as a special guest, on the show, and I'm afraid, you don't want to give these guys too much hope, especially the older guys, because then they think that they're going to hold you up for money or something. So,
I need to get paid to make my I need an appearance fee.
So we'll probably skip those two, even though we love them dearly. Mike and Liz Stewart, we just had them around Christmas, and frankly, that may be as much as we need to have them in a year. I don't know. Although I will say one thing, I will be a special guest on Liz and Mike's show this Sunday. So
that might be enough. That might be like that's nice. We don't need any more. We don't need any more Battle Lotto.
I may ask them again in May because, like I said, we haven't heard from them since Christmas. It's been nearly 6 months. What has changed in their life? I don't know. I mean, this may have claws or something. I don't know what's happened to them. So maybe we might have them again. But yes, I will be on their show. Save for Half. This Sunday. I wish I had more information except for Save for Half, but look, if you know who Liz and Mike are, they're way more big time than we are here, so it should be easy to find their podcast. But yes, I'll be on their show talking about North Texas. But
we have medium time. We're not quite big yet. We're the half pints, but we're fighting above our weight class. Yeah, our weight class is pretty high. So
those two guys, Liz and Mike, have been doing this for like 8 years now. I mean, it's insane. They've done more. They've done, I don't know, several hundred shows. So they've definitely got they've got a rep there that we don't have. But yeah. So we'll have we're going to try to have every week. We're going to have now next week. I believe we have Ben Barsh scheduled. So and then the week after that, I believe we have. Do we have Laramie?
I believe we have Laramie. I think we have Laramie the week after that.
Yeah, so
Laramie, the premier bartender / bouncer at the Tenkar's Tavern Discord server.
And we're going to have him on here because he's a fun dude. He does customer service also at Frog God Games. He does Tenkar's Tavern. I mean, he does work. He's everywhere, and he's just a fun guy. And also, he's a medical professional, so he can give us some information about just different fun. You want to talk about fun medical stories? Laramie always has tons of those, and he's a great guy. So we're going to have him on 2 weeks from now, and then the month of May will happen, and should have. I don't have my May calendar here, but we'll have, I think, 4. We'll pick 4 guests from the con to have once.
We'll have a multitude,
and we'll have. They're going to be some interesting guys, so we'll be able to talk about all kinds of cool stuff with these guys. And plus they owe me because they're going to be special guests at the con, and so they're going to feel obligated.
Cash in your chips, man. Cash in your chips.
Oh yeah, I've learned to do that.
I'm not going to tell you who's on my wish list for a special guest, but if we could,
I know one of them. Now also,
I will fanboy.
And you just reminded me of something. We have the special guest in person. We're also going to have some what we would call special guests running games offline. One of them is Bill Webb, head of Frog God Games. He's going to run games online. Jeff D and his wife Manda are running games online, and I believe Jeff Grubb is going to be running games online. I don't know, or he said he was going to. I haven't looked at the virtual games in a while. I don't know if he still is or not. But yes, we have a few special guests that, for whatever reason, can't make the con. and they're going to be doing the virtual con. So we'll actually have a virtual component. Last year's virtual component worked really well. We did really well with it. So we're going to have that every year. Doug and I are very hands off about the virtual stuff. We're pretty much like, look, we're going to list the game. You guys figure out where you want to meet and play online. We don't really provide a platform for them. If you want to play on the North Texas Discord, you can. If not, you can play on Zoom or Twitch or Tweet or Twitch or Torch or whatever the hell they have going.
But no twerking, right? No twerking.
Yeah, you can twerk. You want to twerk. Yeah. Did you really want to see somebody like Alan Hammock twerk though?
Oh, God, no. Listen, no. I've seen James Bond flash me, and that's pretty much all these old eyes can handle. I'm probably getting cataracts from that shit. Oh.
So that's our plan for May. We're gonna have just kind of like we did the Total Con thing. That was really fun. We had a great time. We had a special guest every night at Total Con that was appearing at Total Con. So we're gonna do kind of the same thing. We'll talk to them a little bit about just everything, and then we'll have them also, throw in some, So look, none of these guys care about getting hired at WotC, so we may just invite them to bash WotC along with us. as we do
everybody loves to bash the WotC.
Our weekly WotC bash, we may just invite them in on that. Although we've had compliments, we complimented WotC lately, so who knows?
Well, yeah, and we should mention the we didn't compliment them yet this week. We got to do that. That's amazing. It's going to be the intersection of my fanboying and complimenting Wizards of the Coast, and that's dangerous shit. For those that might have missed it over the weekend, it was announced that Jeff Grubb's long lost Mystara setting manuscript, the one that he pretty much had 85% complete, ready to go before TSR, TSR 2E days, was like, we're not going to go that route. We're going to do the Grand Duchy of Karamikos, and we're going to start in a local area, and then all that work you did, just whatever.
Yep.
So the work was done. So now it's going to be all right, and this is where I'm going to have to refer to a comment on the YouTube video. So bear with me. From David Shepard.
Kurt Gould, note that you often have a WotC stalker.
No, Kurt.
No, you're not a stalker. You're too classy for that.
Yeah, you're like family stalker, so it doesn't really quite count. David Shepard, correcting my video slightly. Jeff Grubb did offer to send the manuscript to one of the administrators of the Piazza 4 years ago. In this case, David. But Piazza supports Vaults of Pandius, the official Mystara fan site. So I put Jeff in touch with the owner of the Vaults of Pandius. He sent the manuscript to him, and he's been working to get this ready for the 25th anniversary of Vaults of the Pandius opening, which would be, I think, in June. So this might happen right around North Texas.
Uh-huh.
The Piazza does work with Vaults of Pandius to support Threshold magazine, the Mystara fanzine set up by people in the Mystara forum at the Piazza. And there will be plenty of talk about Jeff's book at the Mystara forum at the Piazza when it comes out. The Vault of Pandius will be releasing this, not the Piazza. I think I got it right. I linked them both. I linked the Piazza. I didn't link to the Vaults. All right. Anyhow, awesome for Jeff Grubb to make this available to fans, and David is looking forward to seeing what it looks like. I think we all are. I was listen, in my later days, do I appreciate 2E as much as I did when I was playing it? No. But I realized it was bloated, but I liked the bloat back then. I liked the imbalanced handbooks. But I love the settings, even though the settings are probably what crushed TSR back in those days.
They did. They divided and conquered the audience from what we're told now. So,
Derek Jones, Wizards of the Coast deserves to be slammed on a weekly basis, if for no other reason that they published a hard illustration of a halfling with a lute in the 5e Player's Handbook. I'll be honest.
That was Kurt Gould. That was Kurt Gould's decision. He told me that. So, but no, I'm just. Kurt Gould. He was in charge of that. Halfling with a lute.
Derek, now you're going to make me actually open up my 5e Player's Handbook for the first time in years. Nothing against 5e other than the fact that it's not an OSR game, so I mean, I'm sure it's fun for some, just not for this one. I'm gonna have to find that offensive photo. But no, props to Wizards, man, because listen, this is the Vaults of Pandius is an official website in support of Mystara and has the blessings of Wizards of the Coast, and that's huge. That's no, I don't. You know what? I was a complete fan, by the way, of the complete book of elves, the one with the blade singer. Killed my fucking campaign.
Hey, if we, you know what? If we get a certain special guest on next month, we can ask him about that, because he's the one that clued me in on the fact that when the complete books were made, the classes were never play tested. They just would say, look, we need a book about elves. Just give us like 15 classes and write them up in this and that.
Yeah, give us a kit. Let's give us a kit.
Yeah, we just need kits. And they were never play tested.
Great in spell casting, and the only drawbacks are role playing, which nobody counts against anyway, right? That's why like barbarians, nobody bothered with the role playing detriments to that class. Come on,
you ended up some terrible class but one of the people I'm considering for special guests is the one who clued me in on that, and he's got connections to 2E. So we're gonna, if we have him on there, we'll definitely ask him about that and see if he fesses up on screen to the fact that yes, nobody knew what they were doing, but they did the second edition class books. It was work for hire, man. Work for hire. And you know what? And it wasn't like POC Gamer that they just got edited quietly and thrown in the corners. That's, matter of fact, well, I think the problem was they didn't edit the books enough. They just said, oh yeah, sure, complete book of elves, boom, let's publish that, and nobody decided to look at the Blade Singer or any of the other classes and say, whoa, this is completely overpowered. So
it's funny because like the first 4 complete hand. And by the way, folks, for those watching at home, if you're listening on the podcast, you probably don't know, but I did my first on-screen sneeze. Thankfully I muted for that.
Whoa!
And my nose has been running. I'm taking mints to keep my nose like open, but I'm constantly blowing my nose because allergies effing suck. But the first 4, based on the core classes, right? Fighter, wizard, thief, and cleric were relatively balanced. They weren't overpowered.
Right.
But once you got to the deeper classes and the racial books, it was like, oh, fuck game balance, man. Just does it look cool? Are people going to love it? Yes. They're gonna say it's great until you play it, and then you realize it just killed your campaign.
There was a book of humanoids. I believe they had somebody called a pit fighter, and it's I think it was an orc class. I don't know. It was a pit fighter class, and my brother and with me, I mean, asked me to use a pit fighter class, and I don't remember exactly what was game breaking about it, but it was I remember looking over going, this is a little too generous for a class for a goblin or whatever he was running. And the books were chock full of that at a certain point, because once you come up with the complete book of druids, what are you going to do? I mean, you got to think of something that. And Eric's right, though. If you look at the first 4 books, the kits are very benign. They offer very, very few like really big advantages in game. I think I remember correctly. The book of, I'm just at the top of my head. Book of Fighters had like the pirate class, and I think the pirates got like they could battle on deck and not fall down. I mean, it was really benign. It was something very benign. But by the time you started getting stuff like the complete ninja handbook and the complete, druid handbook, and that's when you started getting to the game breaking stuff, because they had to try to find something really cool. So let's find something. What can we do a little different with this guy? And that's when it got a little too crazy. And plus, they weren't testing the classes either. It's like, yeah, this sounds great. No, nobody play tested that stuff.
No. By the way, it would help if I could spell loot as somebody's like, I want to car with loot. All right, I don't know. Yeah, you know what? There's too many halfling pictures with loots that I'm seeing on the screen, and none of. I'm a halfling fan and I'm a bard fan, and they all look cringeworthy. It's like. Yeah, no.
Yeah, okay. I'm trying to look it up too. I'm not really seeing. I'm seeing some. They look terrible. I don't see the. Oh wait, this That can't be it. No, that's not it. Okay. I'm not finding it. Oh God, is that it? That's terrible. I'm not sure which one it is, but it's the ones I'm seeing, as Eric says, are pretty bad. They're pretty terrible. Follow the link. Okay.
All right. So I'm going to follow Yellow.
Well, you follow the link, Eric, and then you put the picture up because I
I'm
can't.
I'm gonna try. I don't think there's a link, man. I don't see a link.
Yeah, give us a link. Come on, David. Maybe you can't post the link.
Give me a link. I sure deserve it. Follow the link. Maybe you can't, and that's fine if you can't. I listen. Damn. I understand. You'll have somebody have to send it to me. We can do it as a on air next week.
On air halfling with the loot. We'll look up our halflings. Yeah, but the ones I did see on Google were not. They were not good.
It was cringeworthy.
You put it twice. David, it didn't post the link. I mean, it must be something in the software that doesn't allow you to post a. Oh, look, Kurt knew where it was. Page 26. So there you go, Eric. It's on page 26.
All right. Well, I can't walk to the other side of this house to find my player's handbook. Which, by the way, Kurt, thank you. You know what? Maybe I'll get one of those custom shirts done with the halfling and the loot.
Stop it. Stop
David sent an email. All right. So I gotta check my email.
I think it's scary that Kurt knew exactly what it was. So.
It was the one I thought it was.
Okay.
Oh my God. All right. Hold on a second. All right.
I think Kurt feels a little guilt. Kurt feels a little guilt because he immediately knew what it was and he fessed up. He didn't try to hide from it.
I am going to screen share this. Hold on a second. Hold on, because it is cringeworthy, and I hope that any of my artist friends would agree with me on this. This is fucking cringeworthy. It's trying to be a heavy metal rocker with a loot.
Yeah, that's not good.
And you know what? And the bedroll behind the head just makes it where the expression. My God. Kurt, you got to disown yourself right now if you were involved in any part of this process.
I heard that Kurt fought to have that included. I heard he was so into that he fought to have that included. He said either include this or I'm going to quit. And so they included it. So I heard this was kind of Kurt's baby, really. Oh, that's bad.
What is wrong with the legs?
Yeah, it's got one of those. Here's a human-sized body and head, then we got real tiny little feet and legs, and that's weird. And the look on the face is creepy. That's like serial killer. If I see that, if I hear a knock on the door and it's delivery, and I look out there and see that, I'm not opening the door.
That's a horror movie. That's a scene from like a B horror movie from I don't know, the late 90s. It's like, let's hire an evil-looking little person, give them a loot, all right, and make them up like a rock star in drag, and then that's going to be our serial killer, and I could see it.
And those tiny hands, those make Trump tiny hands look like giant hands. Those are some tiny hands. Those are scary tiny hands. So yeah, it's not Watsy's finest hour there.
I mean, still better than I could ever dream to do in this lifetime with next.
Oh, sure. We're not saying we could do better. We're just
saying it shouldn't have been done.
It has to do with the look. I'm not a professional cook, but I can tell if what you're serving's dog doo-doo. The same with this. I'm not a professional artist, but I look at that and I can say that that's not good. I don't want that on my wall. I mean, I got some Easley on my wall. I've got some Otis. Got some Elmore. I'm not putting Halfling Bard up with the loot. Sorry. Yeah, no. So I do apologize for the visual imaging that those that it is. I'll put it this way: if you're listening, not watching, if you're listening on the podcast side,
you're going to go, well, thank God I don't watch the live stream.
Actually, I found it. Kurt's not going to want to hear this, but I Googled it, and I found the entire D&D 5th edition player's handbook free on PDF online. I won't say exactly where, but I'll say if you Google it, you can find it. And yes, it's on page. Well, it's 21 on this version, but yes, it's online for free. Now, Kurt, I didn't tell anybody that. I said that
we don't endorse it. We don't
No,
endorse such.
Absolutely don't endorse it at all. Not at
You
all.
know, but if you go down that rabbit hole, that's your.
But if
rabbit
you
hole.
happen to, but if you happen to look for it, let's just say you will find it. So,
strangely, it took a lot of skill to make a painting that bad. Yeah, Derek, that is. Yeah,
you'd be surprised though, because sometimes you just never know. I mean, I've known artists, and look, even Errol Otis had a cringy picture every once in a while. A lot of it, sometimes it just doesn't turn out like you want it to, and there's a time limit. You have to turn in X amount of pieces of art, and it gets turned in. You're like, do we have time to commission another piece of art? Nope. Okay, well that goes. This is the one that's going to go. And we have that problem with Frog Eye Games every once in a while. We've had some really great artists work for us, but sometimes even they will put a dud out there, and we're like, God, do we have to include this? Like, we do, because we don't have anybody. We've had art redone at the last minute because it just didn't work at all. Like, this just does not work. We got to have it redone. Maybe they had a time limit on that one, and it's like, you know what? I don't know if this is really what we consider a halfling, but we got to go with it, man. We don't have anything. We have no choice. This is what we got to do.
We got to do it, man. You got to take one hit. You got to do it.
Nobody will notice. Look at this other great artwork we have in the 5e Player's Handbook. Nobody will even remember this picture being in here. And then, of course, apparently that's all everybody ever talks about. So,
right. So before we wrap this up, I'm not saying we're going to wrap it up just yet, but I want to cover something that I covered yesterday, and I'm going to be talking about this briefly, at least for the next 2 weeks, because that's how long this bundle is up. As the OSR, we are an extended family. I often say that when I was an active cop, I was part of one of the largest fraternities, probably in the world. Crosses international boundaries. You get a certain amount of familiarity and respect from other cops because of your profession, and there's a certain amount of familiarity even if you don't know somebody because you share a common background. Well, the same thing with the OSR. Now, the OSR has a very large presence in Brazil. And as English-speaking gamers, we might not necessarily realize that, but I think Brazil is, probably the second largest market for games in general. I think the Portuguese market, because of Brazil, for the language, is huge. So last week, on my MeWe feed, I saw that Tiago Rolim, and that name it did not sound familiar to me, but I saw they were fighting COVID. They were hospitalized in a hospital in Brazil, and their health coverage, or health care, was not covering the ICU, and they were accumulating bills over $1,000 a day. Tiago was an OSR creator. They created games that, as OSR gamers, we would probably appreciate the supplements. Well, after a long struggle, Tiago passed. And it's a shame that you lose somebody in this community before you even knew about them. And for that, I feel a loss. But the bills are still there. Brazil is, for the most part, in a lot of ways, it's shut down because of COVID. So Tiago was probably not making much money prior to getting hit with these $1,000 a day ICU bills, which went over 10 grand easily. And right now, his wife and 2 young children are now being saddled with that debt. So they put together a fundraiser, 72 OSR or gaming related products. And a lot of the Brazilian OSR creators, these are all in English. They've all been translated. So they're going for the North American, European market. That's great. It's $10 to grab the PDF. Now, it's at itch.io. I can't read out an itch.io link that anybody would fucking remember. So I put together a link that you can remember. It will redirect to the itch.io. $10 gets you 72 pages now, but 72 products. And one I find very interesting because we talk about doing RPG zines. They do pamphlet games, single sheet folded over like a 4-pager.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the PDFs is how to do a pamphlet game. So that's going to be interesting for all of our zine creators. Something to check out. The link is tencars-tavern.games/Tiago. TIAGO. tencars-tavern.games/Tiago. If you go through the link, I get to see who clicked on it. Since I'm giving this link out only on the podcast, only on the vidcast, it takes a lot of effort to actually put it in, right? If you go to it, I get to see at least you clicked. At least you clicked on it. I will match, and I think we're probably at the match already because I know we have like 70 clicks on it. The first 250 raised by members of the OSR community. So I would say if there's 70 clicks on this link, that we've probably hit the point where I should match the first 250. I will find a way to match even further if you all keep on supporting. It goes to help the family. Listen, we do this for members of the OSR. It is a community. Whether there are some fucktards out there to go, the OSR is not a community, it's a movement. No. Your bowel has movements, all right? But the OSR is made out of people. And again, we're in the world of COVID. This is something that affects everybody. I had my own health issues last year and hospitalized 3 times for, I think, about 3 weeks total. And my out-of-pocket was $200 each time. That's a blessing. This family does not have that blessing. $10 out of your pocket can go a long way. And you get some great material that should inspire your game.
72 PDFs for $10 that's obscene. That's ludicrous. Yeah. The amount of even if you can only use 2, that's worth $10. I mean that's the low end. Let's say you can only use 10% of them. 10% of them 7. You can only use 7 of them. You just paid $10 for 7 items you can use in your game. I mean,
and folks, I mean, 100% of the profits, which means 100% of the monies that they raise, less the fees from itch.io, is going to Tiago's family. Can you beat that? No. And again, the OSR is one of the most generous communities that I know of. I'm very proud to be a member of it. I'm happy to match what funds I can because I'm matching with monies that you all have basically put into the tavern's coffers for things like this. This is why when you use our various affiliate links, I can do things like that and say, hey, I will do a match. Because you put those monies in my hands to do so. So I thank you all. I really do. Even if you can't help Tiago's family, just by using the affiliate links, you allow me to do these matches. And you're helping. So
I'm looking at the list now. I already found 1, 2, 3 I could use. Probably 4. I mean, I haven't gone down the whole list. But yeah, there's already several I could use here. So yeah, this is a no-brainer for $10.
Yeah, it's bad. I kicked myself because I saw it last week, and last week I put my $10 down, grabbed the content, and I was like, "Oh, this is cool," and I didn't think about it. I was like, I should have thought, "Hey, no, I should mention this," and then I saw it come up again. And I went, "Oh crap, I forgot about that." And when I saw that Tiago had passed, it's like, it's bad enough the family has lost their father, their husband, but to be saddled with bills on top of that, it sucks. So again, if you can help. Can you put that in the chat to be cut and pasted? Oh, I could certainly try. Hold on a second. What? Stop being so smart.
If you go to his link, there's a link from his link, so you can get there. That's how I got there.
Right. Well, again, my link redirects, but they want the simplicity of me putting it into the chat so it can be clicked on, and that's fine. That should be up there on the YouTubes. Doom Bunny, we are a community. We might be the best community. And listen, I am more proud to be a member of the OSR than any other community, including law enforcement, that I've ever been a part of. Are there bad actors in the OSR? Certainly. There's bad actors in the priesthood. There's bad actors that are cops. There's bad actors in every profession. But you look at the community for what it is, not for the exceptions. And I think that it is one of the finest communities out there. So, again, I personally thank you for what you can do. Raised Todd is like raised almost 13,000. We have a goal of 6,000. 939 contributors. Average contribution 1371. Top contribution 100. This bundle ended today at 3:30. Wait a second. What did they end it because they got the far enough?
Whoa! What the? I didn't have a chance to buy
wow,
it. Wow!
It had 14 days left. Shit. All right.
Well, I don't think they should end it. It should keep on rolling, man. That's nice.
4:30. I'm gonna, I'm gonna have to.
That's a bite.
See.
That's a bite.
Yep, I'm gonna have to see though if I can reach out to Guillermo Contigo, who hosted the content, and see where I can send the extra $250 that I have promised to send.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, all right. Well, God bless. I mean, I guess they covered enough to cover the hospital bills.
That's great. That's great.
Which is awesome.
Well, the goal was
family going.
Well, since the goal was 6,000, they raised double that. So I guess that's enough to pay the bills, and plus a little extra, hopefully, to help with the family in their time of need. So that's great.
Yeah. Well, I am so proud to be a member of the OSR. It is an awesome community, and that goes for not just everybody that's here now, but everybody that is listening. People that don't listen, people that think that I'm an asshole. I don't care, because the community itself is amazingly good. Wow! Again, I had no idea, Todd, that we actually they actually closed down. It had like 16 days to go as of yesterday.
It hit, man. It hit. That's amazing that it hit so quickly.
And that's God bless and that shows you how great members of our gaming community simply are. So, what's David got to say? We would like to thank you all for your generosity and love to Tiago and his family. At first, we didn't believe we would reach the goal he says an update of USK 6,000K so quick, and that's why we put this bundle up for 4 weeks. Well, the problem is that the bundle can't profit too much, or it will cause problems for us with the Brazilian government because of taxes, sadly. And that's why we're ending the bundle earlier. Again, thank you so much for everything. We're going to send the money to Tiago's family as soon as possible. Well, that's awesome. So I wasn't losing my mind. And I'm glad that they have raised the funds and that they can do so. I'm going to still reach out and see if I can get money to Tiago's family. Otherwise,
yeah.
And if we can, that's great. Because again, there's a blessing. I looked at the precipice in 2020, looked over the edge, and said, "Yeah, I'd like to spend a few more years with the people that I love," and I'm glad that I'm being given that opportunity, hopefully. But COVID has certainly caused life. Mike and I don't take it lightly. We are both immunized. All right, this is and thank God for that. And we joke around about the mask mandate, but we also tell you that you have to use common sense to keep yourself healthy, because if you're not healthy, you can't help others, and if you're not healthy, you put others at risk, right? So your health is always the primary concern, because there's a trickle-down factor to that. But we can't I'm never going to tell anybody in the community or anybody I know, you have to do, because I don't know your situation. I don't know what your risks are. My risks were large. I hit multiple comorbidities. I was like, oh, fuck. I'm going to be like Rapunzel in the tower.
I'm the same way. I'm multiple comorbidities, and also, I don't know if I've mentioned it very often. My wife right now can't take the shot, and so I was also I don't want to bring home something to get her sick.
Right.
So she right now she's just because medical reasons cannot have the shot, and so yeah, I didn't want to be the sick and be the one that got her sick, because I think I'd survive. I'd probably survive a nuclear blast, drop right on my pointy head. But yeah, so it's it's down to common sense. I mean, I've talked to 2 or 3 people that have told me that they're not going to get the shot, and they had their reasons, and that's between them and whoever, that's whatever.
Right.
If you don't want to get the shot, that's I think that's probably not the best way to go for some people. But yeah, I'll be honest with you. If I was 30 years younger, I probably wouldn't get the shot, because when I was 20, I thought
Oh God.
I thought I was immortal. I thought I was invincible. I thought a bullet would bounce off me. I mean, I wouldn't worry about something like that at 20. And so if I'm 30 years younger, I'd be like, yeah, whatever. I don't care.
I never used to get flu shots because, first of all, I hate needles. Of course, last year I had to start injecting myself with insulin because of diabetes. But I refused to do flu shots. Doctors recommended, like, fuck it. And then I came down with Hodgkin's, survived cancer, and that's like, well, it's an immune deficiency cancer. I probably should do what I can to make sure I don't get sick. So flu shots were back on the table for me to get as frequently as I could. So that's why with me, with COVID, I was like, yes, I'm going to get the COVID shot. Now, interestingly enough, my bartender on Wednesdays, Rachel and I went down. Our bartender's name was Rachel. Makes it really interesting conversation when I'm talking to 2 Rachels. Deathly afraid of needles. God bless. I understand that completely. She was waiting for the Johnson & Johnson. She got her Johnson & Johnson shot yesterday. They stopped giving it out today.
That's right. Yeah, because which by the way, a funny story about those, not funny, but the blood clots. So 6 people developed blood clots, all female, which is always, it's, look, any vaccine, people die from the flu vaccine. It just, sometimes you're allergic, you don't know it, and it happens. I saw a medical professional talk about today. The 6 deaths from Johnson & Johnson are actually lower than projected. Lower. I mean, even with the 6 deaths, you're probably, if you were going to get a Johnson & Johnson shot, that's probably not a bad idea to do it.
Yeah,
it sucks.
Less than 1 in a million. Now, those odds are actually not bad odds. And as Rachel at the pub said, she was like, I don't know why they stopped it. She goes, your odds are less than 1 in a million of having an adverse effect. She goes, I'll take those odds over coming down with COVID any day.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But I think that before social media, we wouldn't have had that decision. Social media means that a lot of decisions are made not based upon science, but based upon emotions. And I think that is where science starts to split, where it's like, well, this is science. This is science with social media. Any questions? Yeah, I got a shit ton of questions, but there's no answers to them.
Well, and also, man, I mean, the thing is, everything, and this is, this just sucks. But everything in this country is political nowadays. I mean, from conventions to COVID to whatever, it's all politics. It's not just business as usual for anything. Like I said, we're all in uncharted territory here, and so just saying. I know when, like, relating it back to North Texas again, we said that, look, we would like everybody to wear a mask. We had several people very, very angrily contact us and tell us they were never going to go to North Texas again because we believe the hype and it's a bunch of lies and how dare we require masks, yada, yada, yada. And then the other day when we said, well, here's what the hotel said, and they said that they want you to wear a mask, but they can't mandate it. We received several very angry replies that, well, because you can't do a mask mandate, I'm not going to come to your convention because everybody should be masked up. And if you're not double masked, you're a piece of garbage. I mean, it's, man, just chill. People just need to chill and not get so bent out of shape about everything. I recommend, look, if you can't chill, get off social media for a week. Just try it. And see how much your blood pressure goes down. See how much this flowers smell better. Little puppies are cuter. I mean, everything's better when you're off social media for any amount of time because, having strident reactions like that doesn't help anybody. It
No.
really doesn't help people when you're either you're this or you're a piece of shit. That doesn't help. And like I said, we've had it from both sides already. We've had people say they're never going to attend again because we want them to wear a mask, and people say they're never going to attend again because we won't make them wear a mask. And look, Doug and I, we don't care. I mean, we don't make money from this dumb thing anyway, so we don't care. We show up or don't show up. And besides, if history tells you anything, people say they're not going to show up, end up showing up anyway. They just like to vent. So, but if they don't show up, we don't care. I mean, don't show up, we don't care. We just don't care. We really don't care. As long as Eric shows up and Rachel, we're fine. And all our special guests, and maybe Matt Roberts and Kurt Gould too. Kurt Gould shows up. As long as those guys show up, we're fine. Well, we don't care about anybody else. So Zach Glazer, if Zach Glazer showed up, we'd be okay. But he doesn't have to show up either, really. So
we listen. As I say pretty much every night, use your common sense, because you know what is right for you. You know your risk factors. That if you are immunized, should you be wearing a mask? According to my cardiologist, you shouldn't have to. He's like, it's good. If once you're immunized, especially once you've got your 2 shots and you're, week and a half, 2 weeks out, he goes, it's theater. Yeah. But you're doing it to make sure that those who aren't immunized don't start resenting you. It's like, oh, look at that person there with their vaccine passport around their neck, showing off that they don't have to wear a mask. Well, they still have to wear a mask because I have to wear a mask. And that's a large part of it. But at the same time, if I wasn't immunized, I wouldn't comfortable going to my local pub. In summertime, outdoor eating, but eating indoors in my local pub before I was immunized. Now, of course, again, in the afternoons, it's an old man's pub. Everybody there has been immunized and then some.
Everybody's already had they've already done
the last person was the bartender, Rachel. After this, we could theoretically, nobody needs to wear a mask because everybody is immunized. But
CDC says you're in a small group and you've all been vaccinated. You don't have to wear a mask. So yeah, you should throw that out to your bartender sometime. Technically, we've all been vaccinated, although I don't know. Your city's weird, Eric. It's run by weird people, and who knows? They might get you in trouble if you try to do that. So,
New York City blows chunks.
David brought up a good point. A Texas government website says businesses and establishments can enforce them. Here's the deal. They're not going to, because they don't want liability. Because what is enforcement? Think about enforcing a mask law. So I walk in, I'm a cowboy, I'm 6'6" tall, I've got boots and a hat on, I'm not wearing a mask. You go to the hotel goes to their place, says, go make that guy wear a mask. How's that working out? And so the guy goes over there and says, please, mister, put on your mask. The guy picks up hotel employee, drops him on his head, breaks his neck. Hotel employee sues the hotel for $80 million because he can't walk anymore because he has been forced to go to work because the hotel made him enforce that. Meanwhile, while he was throwing him through the window, cowboy guy broke his arm. Cowboy guy sues the hotel for $80 million because he says that he was attacked by this is why you can't enforce these, because the liability, there's no protections for for the kind of liability you could be open up to. It's the same reason why my grandson works for Walmart, and I know people Walmart has a no shoplifting chasing policy. If you chase a shoplifter, you're immediately fired. You will be fired.
Yep.
If you chase them out of the building. Now, in the building, from what my grandson says, you can follow them through the building and see where they drop the stuff or see whether they get out, but you could not follow them out. If you do, you are immediately fired. Why are you immediately fired? Because there has been cases in the past where somebody chased a shoplifter out of the building, they got shot, or they got hit by a car, or they got injured, and they sued Walmart for $80 million because they were, quote unquote, enforcing the shoplifting policy. So now the shoplifting policy is you do not catch them. The same thing with this mask policy. If I had a business, I would tell my employees to just shut up and not say a damn thing, because I don't want any of them getting hurt. And there's been fist fights over masks. There's been people shot. There's been people killed over masks. There's actually been actual deaths because people fought. There was a case in Texas where a guy was giving a guy. So a guy went to, I want to say it was a car rental place. And the guy behind him was giving him a hard time because the guy wasn't wearing a mask, kept giving him a hard time, giving him a hard time. The guy finally checks out and leaves. The guy giving him a hard time goes out in the parking lot and continues to give the guy a hard time. The guy he's giving a hard time to pulls out a gun and shoots him dead. So he's dead because he decided to give a guy that wasn't wearing a mask a hard time. The guy that shot him is in jail because he killed the guy who was giving a hard time. It's not worth the enforcement issues. And if you call the cops, they're not going to come. The cops aren't going to come. If you say, there's a dude here not wearing a mask in Dunkin' Donuts, man, I feel very unsafe. They're going to say, quit drinking, leave us alone. We got 911 calls here to deal with. And then that's the problem is the enforcement is just not going to happen because the enforcement's not going to happen. And there's no penalty. And, honestly, I'm not sure there should be penalties for it in terms of people can do the things people can do in our society and get away with and not get in trouble. And the fact that you want people to, get in trouble, or the fact that some people want other people to get in trouble for not wearing a mask. And look, they've look, if you're shoplifting nowadays, unless the business wants to enforce the policy, the police let you go. And a lot of times the business doesn't want to deal with it, especially if it's a smaller business. They just get the guy out here. We don't want to care about, so
give them a good scare.
Yeah, that's the same thing about masks. I mean, look, if I had a restaurant and I wanted people to wear a mask and they didn't wear a mask, at the worst, I would just tell them, I'm telling you as the owner of the establishment, I don't want you to come back if you're not wearing a mask. I know that technically we have to allow you in, but I'm saying as the manager, I'd rather you not come. That's about the best you can do, something like that. And without getting violent, without having people get violent. Nobody's going to deal with that, and nobody wants to deal with it. And so, I know that they say you can enforce it, but that's just the Texas state government. All they're doing is passing the buck. They're saying we're not going to do anything. You can enforce it. You're allowed to enforce it, but we're not doing a damn thing. Our police officers aren't going to enforce it, and our government's not going to enforce it. Hell, the governor of Texas paid the fine of a hairdresser that was open during the pandemic because she didn't want to be closed, and that they were one of the businesses considered non-essential. They opened up. The police came and arrested her. The governor of Texas bailed her out of prison and said, and basically, communicated her crime, whatever. So if you're not going to be backed up by the government, I sure as hell I'm not going to enforce it if I'm not going to be backed up. So
there you go. Again, these are decisions that you as an individual have to make, and your decisions as somebody who is at risk and not immunized, somebody who is not at risk but not immunized, somebody that is immunized. It's all different risk factors. It's your common sense coming into effect. Listen, I walk the dog. I wear my neck gaiter around my neck. If I'm approaching somebody, I pull it up, and as I pass them, I pull it down. I do that out of respect. I'm immunized. I am not going to give them anything. They're not going to give me anything, but I do it out of
I do the same thing when I do drive up.
Yes.
Food.
Drive-throughs. Yep.
I will pull when I do drive through. I pull my mask up. I don't need to, and I know I don't need to. And I'm behind a plastic wall on one side and my windshield on the other side. I do it out of respect, just because this guy inside's wearing a mask. They're usually a young kid. I just want to let them, and I don't have time to tell them, look, I've been double shotted. I'm fine, whatever. I just pull my mask up, and that way maybe they feel a little better, a little safer. I don't know if it makes them safer, but if they feel better, that's all that really matters. So, yeah,
and that's again, that's why we do a lot of these things, right? You don't necessarily do it for yourself; you're doing it for others.
Sure, it's common sense, and it's like our kind of wacky conversation earlier about complimenting a woman. If push comes to shove, just don't do it, because the chances you're going to step in mud are huge. Just how about just don't, and then that way you won't have to worry about saying the wrong thing. And the same thing with wearing a mask. I wear it sometimes and I don't feel like it. So sometimes, a lot of times I go in the post office, especially if I'm just there to check my box, I don't wear the mask. I just go in and, since I've had my shot, I want to say this since I have my shot, I'll just go in, check my P.O. box and leave. I don't bother with the mask because I'm going to be in there not even a minute. It's right by the door. I walk in, it's like 15 seconds and I've already had my shot. So I'm just, I don't know now if I'm going to go wait in line at the post office. Sure, I'll bring my mask and I'll wear my mask, especially particularly because they say we require masks upon you entering, and they're a federal building. I don't know what the federal laws are with post offices, but I'll wear it. But just common sense, man. Common sense is it's such a premium nowadays, isn't it? It really,
it is.
Because what you think's common sense,
it's very uncommon.
You're going to get in an argument. You're going to get in an argument with somebody about, I mean, I wouldn't consider we had an argument, but just tonight talking about what you consider a compliment or not, and I've seen this happen so many times. What one person considers a compliment, somebody else doesn't, and then you get in a huge argument about whether it's a compliment or not. Well, let's just sidestep the argument. Don't make the compliment. And then nobody gets in trouble, right? And it's no harm, no foul if nobody says a thing, And, I mean, I've seen people. I don't get this either, man. And you've been a police officer, Eric, and you've probably seen these kind of things happen. If somebody's not wearing a mask, leave them alone. Don't poke the bear.
Right.
I don't get why people do that. And the case that I mentioned about the guy getting shot, there was actually another case. This is and I remember this, and I Googled it right after I was doing the first one. Another guy got shot because they got in a fight because, once again, a guy wasn't wearing a mask, and a guy confronted him, and they got mad, and they both went to their car and got their guns and shot each other. Is that really worth getting shot about? I mean, how many cases have you seen? You've seen those kind of stupid things to police officer where it's just the dumbest argument gets out of hand, and then it becomes, oh yeah, then they shot each other, and you're like, what the hell? Just back off, man.
Again, the whole, and not to get too far into the weeds on this one, but if you are outdoors, I understand masking inside. You're in an enclosed area, the ventilation. You're outdoors. Outdoors is the place where you'd want people to not necessarily have to worry about a mask all the time, because it's you got the breeze, you got the outdoors. It's not like you're confined space. It's not like you're going to walk by somebody and your COVID cooties are going to jump on somebody. But so again, if you're shopping in a store and somebody is not wearing a mask, I'd be more concerned, at least prior to my immunization, than I would be if somebody's walking down the street on their phone, not wearing a mask, or they're smoking a cigarette or drinking their juice and not wearing a mask. I'm not freaking out, because we're outdoors. Outdoors is where you want to be doing your activities in the world of COVID, because the chances of transmitting it is so much lower. That's why outdoor dining was the big thing. Although in New York City, outdoor dining is really just, let me build an indoor facility outside of my prior indoor facility.
Right.
So, but you're outdoors because we're outside the building. You got cement now for your flooring, but enjoy your outdoor dining. And
why not?
It's raining. You would never know because you're outdoor dining. Come on. I don't get the science, but I guess we're not meant to, right?
Well, this is something this is a hot and heavy. It reminds me of, in the past, hot and heavy topics we've had. Then 2 years later, you're like, why are we arguing over X 2 years ago? And then we'll have to talk about what was going on at the time. Like, someday we're going to sit here and go, who's Zach S? And we're not going to know. We're not going to remember. And we're going to have to say, oh, that guy. Oh, yeah, and he did that. Oh, yeah, right. So this will be, in a few years, it'll be like, why do these conventions always have these mask mandates about stuff? Yep. It's because the convention forgot to take it out of their bylaws, and it's been 3 years and COVID's gone now.
Yes, but make sure you wear your mask. What mask? I no longer own a mask. I mean, it's over. Oh my God. Right?
This is a story we got to hear someday. I'm a retired warden. I've had officers' doors from one another shoot each other in the parking lot. Now that's a story I'd love to hear someday. Good Lord. Or maybe not,
Yeah, I have some stories from my time in internal affairs that I think are still covered by the non-disclosure agreement that I signed.
Oh dear. That bad.
But man, some of these personal relationships, actually one that was prior to my time, I do remember a deputy inspector who apparently got into, he was working and was already in the bag. Goes to a neighboring command where his girlfriend, different from his wife, his girlfriend, who's a domestic violence officer of all things, I guess he was pissed at her for some reason. In front of the desk officer, her in the face. All right, knocks her to the ground.
Jeez.
Then goes into the precinct CO's office because he's visiting another command. Pees in the captain's sink because he had to go because he was. And
where better to go than the captain's sink?
Right. And then goes to leave the command.
Jeez.
And was actually then arrested by patrol cops who saw this and said, hey, one of our own just got knocked out by this fucking box deputy inspector. And what we would call white shirt immunity, deputy inspector got knocked back to his rank of captain.
Oh.
Rank. So he lost a pay grade, but he didn't lose his job over that. Never got criminal charges. Because, that stuff. And that was prior to my time. I got that from one of the officers I used to work with in his command who had to respond to the other command to pick up the deputy inspector's vehicle that was abandoned when he got put into cuffs and internal affairs came to shit can the whole thing, which was what happened.
Well, I saw a story today that reminded me of, you want to talk about dumbest of the dumb, over the top dum-dums. So this is how long ago this happened. So imagine 7 years ago, and I just saw the update on this yesterday, because this is finally coming to trial after 7 years. Do you remember the guy, the retired police captain in the Tampa theater who shot the other guy because he was talking too loud on his phone?
No, that's awesome.
So he and his wife, the retired police captain, he's like 70 years old, was sitting in the theater, had his gun with him. Guy in front of him was on his phone talking loud, and he asked him to shut up, whatever. And the guy wouldn't shut up. They got into it. Well, the guy with the phone threw the phone at the police captain. So obviously, the police captain pulls out his gun and shoots the guy dead, because that's what you do when somebody throws a phone.
I was assaulted.
So this has been winding through the courts for 7 years, because first of all, he wanted to say it was a stand your ground case, and they threw out stand your ground because they said, no, you weren't in fear for your life. You think you were, but a thrown phone is not going to kill you. And then it got postponed because of COVID. Anyway, on and on. So anyway, this guy's been sitting there for seven years. I think he was 70. I think he's like 78 now. He's still going to go on trial because he couldn't just take 1 minute to say, what's a proportional response to this? This guy pissing me off and throwing a phone at me. He had to do, I think this is an appropriate response, is to shoot this guy dead who is throwing his phone at me. I think this is a appropriate response. And this is why you got to be, man, you just got to use your brain. Because I'm sure this guy would rather be anywhere else the last 7 years of his retirement than having to pay lawyers and wait on court dates and take competency hearings and on and on. And of course, the other guy's dead, so I bet he wishes he had a do-over, didn't throw his phone at the old guy in the back row of the place. And that's just that kind of thing that I don't know if this society, we just need to be more aware of this shit and think about what's at stake. What's at stake here? What's really at stake? And this is, like I said, if I see somebody not wearing a mask, they should be wearing a mask. I want to say something, but you know what? I don't, because I don't need to get shot in a barber shop because the guy wasn't wearing his mask. And have my grandkids have to tell that story in 10 years. Like, yeah, Grandpa Mike was awesome. Oh, he got killed because the guy wasn't wearing his mask at the post office, and they got in a fist fight, and the guy hit his busted his head against the wall. I mean,
Grandpa couldn't keep his fucking mouth shut and make it happen.
I keep my mouth shut all the time now because, like I said, I don't want to die. I hopefully don't die stupid. Hopefully I don't have a stupid way I get killed. I mean, I probably will because I'm me, and it'll probably be wearing a devil costume at some point.
Oh well,
and I'll probably die stupidly somehow. But
don't stick your tongue into a socket when you're in your devil costume. You might be okay. No forks in your hand, poking shit. Oh, okay.
It'll probably be. I'll have what'll be is I'll be in a devil outfit. I'll have a bottle of whiskey, and I will make a very inappropriate comment comment to a minor cosplay girl, and I get thrown off a skywalk in the hotel, and that's how you see me. Well, Grandpa went out with a bottle of Balcones Blue in his hands. He just said something very inappropriate to a minor cosplay girl, and he got thrown off. And so that's probably what'll happen. And he was wearing a devil outfit too, which we don't understand that. But I mean, he was wearing Satan horns and a cape, so.
He was cosplaying. He was cosplaying. I don't know why he was.
He was cosplaying too. He thought that was a perfectly logical compliment to make to that
the
girl.
devil.
He didn't know she was
made
16.
Me do it. Yeah.
His last comment as he was thrown off by the irate father was, "I thought she was 18." That was his last comment as he was thrown off the skywalk.
I thought she was legal. Before we wrap this up, I see Need More Cowbell talking about, and the one-legged guy that tried to climb the fence. I will do you one better. We were doing a street narcotics set, and observation arrests. My sergeant was observing from an undisclosed location, and he's like, Eric, the one-armed guy walking down Longfellow just bought crack. I'm like, all right, well, that's easy to find. He goes, it's in his right hand, the only hand he has. Good enough. Get there, sure enough, one-armed guy. It's in his right hand. The only issue is his right hand is a prosthetic. He had no hands. We couldn't cuff him because he had no hands. So
right, and handcuffs have to stay on. So if you have no hands, you're obviously just going to slide right off. Yes.
Right. So all right, we arrest him. And don't think too much of it to get down to central booking. And we're told, where's his prints? I go, well, we couldn't print them with the live prints to go print them. He has no hands. So the sergeant goes, he has no hands? He goes, no. He goes, well, I got to make a phone call. And he calls down to the Criminal Justice Bureau headquarters and said, what do we do with somebody who has no hands? They're like, you ink print, which means actual ink, their feet.
Their feet, yes, because toe prints are exactly like footprints or fingerprints. Right. Yep.
All right, but here's the kicker, because again, we were all fairly new, less than 2 years on the job, and this had never come up. So we're like, ink print. It's like, yeah, I never did ink prints. So it's like, all right, we're gonna have to roll his toes. We stupidly did not realize we could probably have rolled his toes on the actual floor with the proper paperwork, the fingerprint card. We thought we had to have him on the fingerprint table, so we picked him up, held him on the table, and then rolled his toe. Probably easier than being on the ground doing it, but it was certainly one of those scenes that you kind of go, it would be just better to tell this guy to take a walk and we're going to throw you crack in the sewers for you. But that would have been a crime.
I knew this because I saw a CSI Las Vegas episode where they find a killer by toe prints. There's toe prints left on the victim's bed, and they find a toe print, and it turns out that toe prints are exactly like fingerprints, and I didn't know that. So I do that thank you, CSI Las Vegas.
I remember watching the first CSI in the first season, and I cringily had to turn the damn show off.
Oh no!
Within 20 minutes, I'm like, they are putting evidence with serological fluids into plastic evidence bags. Mm-hmm. You just ruined your whole case, because that rots within 24 hours. You'll have no evidence left. You got to paper bag it. But neither here nor there. See, we're going into the weeds now.
Oh dear. Yes. We probably are.
Newbury, we're not gonna cosplay the 5 year.
I'm 2 years. I'm 4 hours into COVID. I'm feeling okay. My arm's a little sore. She jabbed it a little tougher than the first time, so I'm a little worried about tomorrow. I'm doing all right. I think I'm okay. Yeah.
I will check in with Mike tomorrow to make sure he's still not feeling the horrible nausea.
No, I took some whiskey, so that should help with nausea.
Oh, well, that cures all nausea. Awesome. To me, it's usually like, seltzer, but whiskey. By the way, I got my replenished faux Fireball whiskey with Tullamore Dew should be ready tomorrow. I had to get a replacement bottle after Easter Sunday, since it was a big popular thing. With my mother going, "Oh my God, this is so smooth. I like this. It's whiskey." I'm like,
well, if Mom likes it, it's got to be good. Yeah.
Oh yeah, she went back for seconds overall. Okay. So I was like, okay, Mom. Well, God bless you, but we're not now. I got to get more because I've got none left. All All right, folks. We've already talked about COVID. I'm not gonna go through the normal shit. Just common sense. And
our whole show was
on that.
about common sense this time. So,
Oh, yeah.
So
Oh, my
we're
God.
not going to spend any time on it next week. Next week we're going to talk to Ben Barsh, and then the week after that we'll talk to Laramie, and the weeks after that we'll talk to guests from North Texas. So that was our COVID show for the year, for the quarter or whatever. So there we go. That was our COVID. Be kind.
COVID special.
Be gentle. Try to have common sense. That was all we wanted to let you know there. So,
folks, be safe, be well. God bless. And a big huge thank you for the community for helping Tioga's family so much that they had to actually close the fundraiser. That said a lot about the community.
That is great.
Huge. So even if you didn't participate, you should slap yourself on the back because that's the community you are a part of. God bless, roll those dice, and I shall be back tomorrow. Folks, if you're listening to this, if you're watching this, please subscribe. It helps. Comment after when you're watching this later. Again, comments help. All of it helps, folks.
We've had our subscriptions have gone way up since we started, and that's the only way Eric and I know that you care about what we're saying. Otherwise, we have no clue. We don't run to people in the hall going. We don't work in an office where people go like, "Hey, I've subscribed to your show, man. It's so awesome." No, we only know by the subscriptions.
So by the numbers. If you like it, if you're listening on the podcast side, on the Anchor side, come to youtube.com/Tenkar's Tavern. We have changed it because it is a community. We are actually open to if folks have their own vidcasts and you want to get from another audience, talk to me. I'm happy to publish an episode or two of your cast on our feed because we should all. It's not a zero sum. More exposure, proper exposure. We're not talking about the other exposure, but exposure, social media exposure. Helps everybody.
Yeah.
So we're open to it. All right, folks. On that note, we're going to be out of here.
Later.